pre-pandemic was stagnant at 3.7%, while male veteran unemployment had decreased to 3%. During the pandemic, the Department of Labor showed that women veteran unemployment increased to 6.7%, while male veteran unemployment was at 6.5%. According to VA research studies, women veterans are 50% more likely to experience homelessness than their civilian counterparts, and 40% more likely to become homeless in comparison to our male counterparts. Now, I'd like to have my panelists introduce themselves to our audience. Please take 2 to 3 minutes to tell us who you are and what your background is. If you are a veteran, please also share the story how you transitioned from the military to corporate America.
Oh, you want to start with me? Hi, I'm Flossie Hall. I am an active duty Navy spouse. I have to say my husband's a CB because he's not just in the Navy, he's a CB. He's getting ready to retire this year after 20 years. I was unemployed for about 10 years with 4 kids at home. And about a decade ago, I decided to start my own business. And in my first company, I was able to hire over 100 military spouses and female veterans and active duty service members with flexible employment work. After that, I went on to build training programs in the entrepreneurship space. I'm the co-founder of the Association of Military Spouse Entrepreneurs, and now I own my own consulting company, helping to build and scale businesses in the military space. You want to go next?
It's you, Alec.
Well, it's my turn. Okay.
Yes.
I'll read the script.
My name is Alec Meyer. I'm the manager of military recruiting with Werner Enterprises. We're one of the largest transportation and logistics companies in the United States. And when it comes to my own personal story, obviously you'll notice I'm not a female up here. So I bring kind of a unique perspective to this panel, but we're certainly looking to do our part to help reduce the unemployment, underemployment for female veterans today. At Werner Enterprises, currently about 13% of our drivers are females, which is about double the national average. So we really strive to help figure out how we can solve that problem by partnering with a number of different organizations and with then some of those VSOs and military installations, just to raise awareness and to provide a great opportunity. So I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit more. I myself am a Marine Corps veteran. Or I would say I heard a lot of those in the room. It's always exciting to hear that. So look forward to talking a little bit more.
Good morning. No, it's good afternoon. Yeah. My name is Anika Bell. I'm the president of Celebrities Quality Painting. We are a painting company. We focus on government contracting. However, in between time to generate some income, I also do residential work. I left the Navy. I'm a United States Navy veteran back in 1999, I think. I can't even remember. It's been so long. However, in the military, I painted aircraft carriers. And for a very long time, when people would ask me, what did I do? I would just say, well, whatever. I just painted aircraft carriers. Until back in 2018, a woman said, why did you just say that like that? And I said, what do you mean? All I did was paint aircraft carriers. She said, do you understand that that's construction? And I never thought about it. I thought when I never had guidance growing up. I just wanted to go in the military as a teenage mom because I didn't want to go on welfare. That is my reason for going in. And so I never had a job. They said, oh, don't worry about it. You didn't have to choose a job. Just when you get in, you worry about it. So that's how I ended up painting and swabbing decks. So I thought God had failed me. I was like, oh no, I hate it. I heard everybody was doing these amazing jobs. And I thought that, my life was over until that woman was like, no, ma'am, you own a construction company and you need to open one. So I called my husband and I was like, I'm opening a construction company. He's like, what? Because one of the things women don't understand is that just because you don't have the full knowledge doesn't mean that you can't open the business. That is what hiring is for. And so after just that one conversation, and I promise you, I think she's an angel because she called me. So I don't even know who this person is. And if I ever get to meet her, I would love to let her know that she changed my life. And so that's how my business started in 2018. And I went out there and I am a painter. I know I look good because I love fashion. That is my passion.
You do look good. Yeah.
But also, just because you're in a male-dominated industry doesn't mean you have to look like one, right? So I'm out here just trying to change that perspective. So yes, I paint. I get dirty, not because I have to, but because that's what I love to do. Right. And so that is my story. And we're going to talk a little bit about me I don't want to take the attention on. But we'll talk a little bit about me more. Go ahead. Yes.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is McKenna. I'm with Military Affairs for USAA. And when George opened us up this morning, he said that he hoped that everyone here walks away with just one thing. And so I'm going to start in true Army fashion with the bottom line up front. The one thing that I want you to take away is to find what's aligned. I even made it rhyme for you. See what I did there? So, and that's for everybody. That's for the veterans in the room. That's for the VSOs. We talked about it on the first panel. I was like, you nailed it, you nailed it, you nailed it. You got to find what's aligned. So I'm a West Point graduate. I commissioned into the Military Police Corps, 2 deployments as an MP, branch transferred to aviation, flew Black Hawk helicopters for a little bit before I went back to teach at West Point, and that's where I concluded my military career. And then, where's the gentleman who said, oh, there you are, you're back, George, your back's against the wall, you got 60 days, you got to find a job, because I am a bit different, I think, from most families. My husband is military retired, 5 deployments, the first of which was to Somalia. He was in the Battle of Mogadishu. I married Captain America, and he's this dreamy, amazing human being. And so, but I'm the breadwinner now. And so I'm paying the mortgage, I'm getting our groceries. And so there was that pressure. I've got to find the thing that pays for these things, because time now, and we're talking 6 years ago, but time now, I'm about 2-3 months out from having 2 kids in college. And so all of that is on me. And so I did just what George described. I just picked the first place that was going to pay me what I needed to make. And it was not aligned. And at the time, I couldn't have even described to you what alignment meant to me. I didn't know if I was an inside or outside person. I know that now. But I didn't know it at the time. And so I just thought, I can do operations. Yeah, I've been doing operations my whole time in the military. Of course I can do that. And I was miserable. And so I'm the statistic the whole room is talking about. Lance, is that correct? To your question, what's the attrition about? It's about a lack of alignment. We got to find what's aligned. I changed roles 5 times in 6 years. Because I was in a role, wasn't as advertised, found another one, resigned, found another one, resigned, found another one, resigned. And one of those roles, they even asked me to lie to my clients. And I'm like, oh, hold up. Loyalty, duty, service, respect, honor, integrity. Like, it's in my DNA. I'm the daughter of an Army veteran. I'm the granddaughter of 2 Army veterans. Like, you can't ask me to do that. So, found another one, resigned. And now here I am at USAA. I've been here for 3 years. And I think that's that's alignment. We've got a good fit. And so that's what we have to find for our veterans, not just for our women veterans, but everybody benefits. John pointed out, everybody benefits when you put the veteran in a role that is aligned with their values, aligned with their gifts, skills, and talents and giftings, aligned with their sense of purpose and what they find meaningful. You put that set into a role that is aligned for them, man, I could go crush it for you if it's the right place, if it's right fit, find what's aligned. So that's my one thing, and I'm really excited to share with you today.
Awesome. So the pre-call before this, it was very animated, and I loved it. It was actually really awesome to be able to engage with everyone prior to meeting today. But to kind of take it back to Anika and Laura, I'd like you to kind of reflect on your transition from the military to the corporate workspace. What are some of the resources or things that you leaned on to help you as you began the transition process, and how did you first learn about them?
So for me, the transition, when I first got back home, I didn't know what I was going to do. I had my 2 boys, and so I decided to go back to school. First of all, let me say, because normally I was kind of ashamed of saying it, but today it's going to be the first time that I say this out my mouth. Okay, you ready?
We're ready.
I was honorably discharged due to pregnancy, right? So here I go again. So I went in as a teenage mom. What's wrong with you? And now you get pregnant again, right? So, again, I was like, what? I felt like God had failed me again, but it was really me, right? Because God didn't make me pregnant. I made myself. But anyway.
That would really be a scoop.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Plot twist, God made me pregnant. But, so, No, so now I had these 2 boys, and I said, okay, the best thing I can do is go back to school. Thank God I went back to school, right? And it's all about networking. At Mercy College, there was this woman. Her name was Viviana DeCohen. And if you are a veteran, you should know her name. She was employed to recruit veterans into the college. When she created this space for us, because some of the students, they suffered from PTSD. But in this space, I mean, we had the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, and I think that's it, right? I only know Navy for real. But
What about the Coast Guard?
oh, the Coast. I don't even think we had little people there, but sorry.
Is the Air Force?
Oh yeah, the Air Force, right? Thank you. And so. And so in this space, we will all get together, do our homework, help each other, because it was, no man left behind, whatever the saying is, right? And so she walked in, but I know that I was a student, and she was the person that was basically in charge, but I saw more in her. And so I went over to her. I was like, why are you here? And she was like, what do you mean? And I said, there's more in you. I could see it. She's like, I'm supposed to be telling you that. And I said, I know. But anyway, today, Viviana DeCohen is the Commissioner of Veteran Affairs for New York. Right? And so networking with her, like she brings me along everywhere she goes now because we started together. Like she was just a person recruiting and I was just a student. So I would say that we need to network with each other. And so I don't know, I forgot what the question was really was, okay. But I will say this, if you are an employer, right? You have people right now working for you that you don't know is a veteran. And I was discussing that with one of the young ladies in here. There she goes. She was like, I'm waiting for you. So, because she said that she wanted more women veterans. And I said, the issue is, if you look at this document, the application, it says, are you a veteran? And believe it or not, a lot of people don't even know they're veterans. Because when we look at TV, we don't see people that look like me, right? We see the men, older gentlemen, right? And they're so proud they wear their hats. You never really see a woman walking in with a hat, whether our wig is not right, whatever. Like we just need our hair to look cute. But go and ask the question. Have you ever served in the military? Don't ask them, are you a veteran? They don't understand some of them. And I know that because some of my own friends, believe it or not, I didn't know they were veterans. And one young lady said, because I will never say that because I don't feel that it's right. I never fought a war. I'm like, that doesn't matter. So if you could walk away with one thing, go back. You might have a person at the cash register who's a leader, a trained leader, but she didn't even know she was a veteran. So that's my thing on that. Thanks.
What? So how do you follow that? So to answer the question, I think the question was what resources were available to you with the company that you're with. So the first company that I went to, there really were not any. And so my hat is really off to the organizations that are here that you have resource opportunities, you've got a mentor sponsor program. That's huge because I didn't really have any. I kind of just figured it out. And as many of you know, I think most of the people in the room are veterans. When you leave the service, you're not just getting another job. It's almost a shift in your identity. Maybe not almost. It's a shift in your identity. You had community based on a set of shared values, and you don't necessarily have that anymore, or it's not obvious to you. So yes, the camaraderie, you don't really have that anymore. I was an Army brat and then went straight into the military. So we're talking, when I got out, I had 36 years of social programming for things like communication style and teamwork that other people maybe didn't have. And so I didn't always understand what they were conveying to me. They didn't always understand what I was trying to describe or explain. And so it was very confusing and very stressful and really in many ways lonely and anxiety inducing. And you really do start to question not just the value that you're bringing to the organization, but you really start to question your value as a human. And so now you're coming to work from that place and there aren't resources available to you. So that was one of the many reasons that I moved on from that company. The next company that I went to, there were resources. And I worked for a physical security company. And so, I mean, easily half of us were veterans anyway. We spoke each other's language. And so there was fit and it made sense until that company was bought. And then there was no longer fit because the values and the culture changed. So to the companies who do have those resources, it is absolutely critical that those resources are in place for the transitioning veteran, because it's more than they're just changing a job. They're becoming an entirely different person, joining a new tribe, founding a different identity, and becoming a new version of themselves. We hold on to the values. We stay that person, but it is such a tremendous shift, and that requires a lot of, I need to have a space where I am psychologically and emotionally safe to ask stupid questions that I should already know the answer to. And when you don't have those resources, very lonely, and it really keeps you from performing optimally, which is also not okay. Like, we're veterans. Where's Misty? The differentiator between a veteran-owned, founded entrepreneurial enterprise is my first purpose here is to serve somebody else. And so if I'm in a role where I'm not empowered and equipped with what I need to serve somebody else, well, now we've got existential angst on top of the identity crisis, and it's a big deal.
And Anika, you mentioned something that I think was kind of like really important to highlight, was like there's a lot of women veterans who, one, don't identify, and then two, when they get out, they tend to not to. Because I know for myself personally, I go to the VA, and I can't count on my hands how many times I was called Mr. Covington. And I'm like, my gender is definitely on that sheet. I've been a woman my whole life, like it hasn't changed. So it's always been one of those very complicated situations as a woman veteran. And then I noticed, like, when I was navigating transitioning out the military, I always felt like my male counterparts had a slightly easier transition. Oftentimes I was always being called the spouse. I was married in the military. I was not the spouse. My husband was at the time. And so it was always very interesting kind of navigating those moments when I was trying to network for myself and kind of lean on to my new identity, which was a veteran who was trying to transition into the civilian sector. So for you two, what was the difference for your transition, and did that kind of impact you as you were navigating these spaces? Because there are times when I almost didn't put veteran on my application because I always felt like I would get a call back and like, Mr. Covington, I'm like, this is getting really annoying. And so I just kind of want to know, did you have a different experience from your male counterparts, or how was that transition for you there?
I definitely did. I have found that, and this is anecdotal, I don't have data on this. This is my observation and my personal experience. I found that men are much better at networking. Women have our social networks, but we don't leverage those social networks in a way that we're comfortable asking for help professionally. And I think men are much more comfortable doing that. At least that's what I observed as I was making my transition. And that's something that, as women veterans, and this is part of the LLC that I own, part of our purpose is to empower women and empower communities of women where we support and uplift each other deliberately. And that's part of who we are. It's in our DNA. I am here to support, uplift, empower. How can I help you? How can I connect you? And women, I don't think naturally do that in a professional sense. I think we do it in a social sense, but we don't then make that next step. And so it was harder because that social capital of finding a role based on who you know. Well, who I know was I would leave work, and then I was a single mom for most of the time in the military until I met my husband. And so I'm networking on the sidelines of kids' soccer games. Well, that's very different networking than what I see men empowered to do. And they have the space, the time, the capacity to do, because there's a different expectation of household responsibilities that I see for the men who are transitioning.
I guess for me, it wasn't, like I said, that difficult, since I was already surrounded by veterans going to school. So, we just stuck together, and then I just tried to grow, I guess, our group just by communicating, voicing. I like to talk. I like to talk to everybody because I learned a long time ago, don't judge people because it's the person with the dirtiest sneakers that have the most money or that have the most knowledge, right? And so those are actually the people that I look for so to talk to. And so for me, it wasn't that difficult of a transition only because I went out, I came from the military straight into this own, group of people. And then I also thought about it. So at Mount Vernon City Hall, there was a space. There was a room that veterans can go in and collect clothes. And I didn't like that space. So what I did was I redid the space. It looks amazing. And to date, we've serviced, this is during COVID, we serviced over 3,000 veterans. So if I go and I do pop-ups and I go to their events because I want them to see me. I want them to see, to know that I exist, that, you don't have to be that old man, right? And so that's what I did. That's my strategy. I'll just give back. Like Chris has said, I give back, I do things for free. And that's how I get to meet people and network. And then I'm also growing my business. So like Stephanie said, a strategy, just being very strategic in your moves. And I love to surround myself by people. When I say swab decks, if I say that to a civilian, they're not going to understand what I'm saying, but we can just talk like that if I'm talking to, one of my shipmates or someone else in the military. So for me, like I said, it wasn't that difficult because I just found another home to be in with my fellow, veterans.
Awesome. Thank you both very much for kind of sharing your story. Alec, I kind of want to take it over to you because trucking is a male-dominated industry, but your company has doubled the number of women that work there. And then also just kind of like what has been the company's target to doing so? And then also, do you happen to know the targets for your women veterans that currently work at your company?
Yeah, so male dominance in the trucking industry is, historically has always been there. And over the past couple of years, we've made some changes that I think helped us be able to attract more female talent and certainly female veterans as well. One of them is our commitment to diversity and equity and inclusion. We want to be a company, an employer where everyone can feel comfortable working for us, regardless of where they come from, what experience they have, what background they have, right? So we commit to that. And then safety. We believe nothing we do is worth getting hurt or hurting anyone else. And that's significant when you're, traveling down the road with 80,000 pounds behind you, 68 miles an hour. And so, as my wife would remind me, I think women tend to be safer drivers than men. So we certainly, want to attract more women drivers, but our commitment to safety, I think, is something that really stands out. In the industry, a lot of companies have gone to automatic transmissions. You think of driving a semi-truck, you think of a manual transmission and trying to learn that. We've made it easier. We've lowered the barrier to entry, and we've tried to really educate. Part of my job when I travel to military installations and career fairs is educating female veterans on, maybe misconceptions in the industry, right? You can start off at the same pay rate as anyone else, right? The same training, the same experience, same pay rate, right? And you can make great money right off the bat. And it's not just, something where you're going to be gone all the time. I think the misconception with veterans often is, hey, you're used to being gone. You can just keep being gone. We've got great opportunities for you, right? But if you've been gone for a long time, you kind of want to be home. And so we've got opportunities that you can be home every day or every week. And so what we really try to do is just provide that awareness. But again, when I go places and I talk about trucking, more often than not, it's the men that are coming over. So I think one of my jobs and one of our roles as recruiters or we try to attract talent to our companies, because who wouldn't want to hire these women up here, right? We're hiring, by the way. But it's our job to, like you said, find that alignment, find that right fit, right? So, maybe you've never thought about doing this. I want to sell you on our industry and why this is a great fit for you. I think we're over 40% in this industry now in supply and logistics that are women. So let me tell you about why this is a good opportunity for you, right? Based on your experience, based on your background, based on what you want to do. And then again, right? Like there's a lot of partners in here. Network. If I don't have a good fit for you, why would I try to bring you on if I'm going to set you up for success, right? So, and you just like your background, like, hey, construction, I've got a background in that. I think a lot of things that you do in the military can set you up for success in the transportation and logistics industry. Maybe you just haven't thought of it. So I think it's our job as recruiters and when we're trying to attract talent to our companies to help explain, hey, this is what you've done and this is why this would be a good fit. This is why this makes sense.
Thank you for that. You answered my next question for you, so I'm gonna go over to Flossie's. So Flossie, you're someone who's kind of worked in the HR space. What are some ways corporations can improve their hiring processes to be more inclusive of women veterans?
So I typically talk to a lot of employers and a lot of panels in this industry to discuss women, military spouses who are 94% women, women veterans. We tend to have a confidence issue, which apply for a job where a male counterpart has to feel like is like, yeah, I'm all in, and they apply for it. But it starts with the employer first to set up that job description in the right way so that it feels more accessible, more attainable, being able to properly screen that talent and talk to the women in a different way than they do men. We are a totally different demographic. So I think it starts with the employers first with what's the job description like? Have you ran it through your departments? Have you talked about how to screen and look for female veteran talent or women overall or military spouses, how to read the resumes that are coming back. Maybe they are gappy or there's time for motherhood or there's volunteer experience. How do you look at that and convert that to work well in the corporate space? So we've heard it over and over and over again. There's talent and, we're strong-willed and we can get the job done, but sometimes we feel like we're stuck in this little box of here's what I was in the military for, here's what I went to school for, so I have to get this job that says that I do this one thing. But I go back to Michelle Obama. She's told me I could be anything I wanted to be, right, and as many things as I want to be, right? So I have a multitude of talents and skills that I could work in multiple industries. So it just depends on what's the right fit for me and how do I translate those skills to the job opportunity. So I remember looking for a job after I exited my last company, and I got rejected for like 100 resumes. I was like, I've been the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. Why can't I find a job? But it was like an AI thing that just spit back out rejected. And it was because I didn't have the right resume with the right tips. I didn't reach out to my network first. I didn't ask, even though I have an incredible network. Many of you in this room, if I said, hey guys, I'm looking for a job, you'd be like, oh yeah, Flossie, over here. I didn't. I just was like, I'm going to submit a resume. I'm going to do the path. Reject over and over again. And it hit my confidence even more as a woman. So I think that putting the personable back in hiring practices, paying attention to who your demographic is, setting those jobs up for the right applicants, whether it's females, women, military spouses, female veterans, and then doing all those great things those employers talked about earlier, transitioning them in, identifying who they are, helping them to find community and making sure it is a good fit. I think employers can do a lot from start to finish.
And then how can women veterans get their foot in the door with larger corporations who may not have an understanding or appreciation of the military service? That's what you, Flossie.
Oh, I didn't hear you, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I wasn't loud enough, sorry. I said, how can women veterans get their foot in the door with larger corporations who may not have an understanding or appreciation for the military service?
So a lot of the women veterans that I work for, again, it's network. Who do I go to after the military space? Or I've been in this little bubble. How do I access all these people in this room? LinkedIn is an incredible place to leverage your network, reach out to people, say, hi, I'm so-and-so, this is who I am. How can I help you? Is there somebody that you can direct me to? So I think just having that confidence as a female veteran, a military spouse, by reaching out and actively saying, I need help, or who can I get to? Because again, instead of getting those 100 automated rejections, you have a hand up from the people who are doing the direct hiring, which are in this room. You say, hey, Chuck, I need a job at USAA. Who can you connect me to? He has an amazing and incredible team, just like, we said here, that can ease me based on my talent and experience. So having the confidence to just say, I need help, leveraging your network, and leveraging each other. We've talked a lot about that on our Precall.
And it's almost like the guys that wear their pants saggy, how we thought it was just a trend. And I feel like those words right now are just trending because it sounds good. Me being a woman, being a veteran, and being in a male-dominated industry, it is hard for me. It is hard for me. Each and every one of you are probably going back to a building. Why am I not painting it? Why is Celebrities Quality painting? Now, this is a plug because I need work. She just said ask, and I'm asking, right? Because I have these.
Leverage your network.
Yes, exactly. So you fell into the hole, and she can follow you. But you understand? Like, so there's people looking for work, and they're calling me, and it really, it's not even about me. I'm good. My husband is amazing, right? But it's about these men that have to feed their children, and I have to tell them, no, there's no work. I hate it. And I shouldn't have to say that. So if you are really about that life of diversity and inclusion, I am your girl. If you walk into your office and you see pink chips, you should be thinking about that girl with them big eyes and that big hair, okay? And so... And so, yes. No, and that's all. We just have to ask, right? And I'm telling you the truth, and I'm being honest. I have business cards.
Sorry. I had to get myself together, sorry. So what recommendations would you all have for companies as they're trying to advance their veteran hiring to ensure that they don't leave women veterans on the sideline?
One of the things that we do when we're actually recruiting from installations or in the Guard and Reserve, we make sure that we spotlight our success stories, right? So it's one thing for me to come and say, hey, you do a great job at Warner, but if I don't have anyone to show you that they're doing a great job, how would you even know that that's possible, right? So just this past year, we had several of our executives recognized in Supply Chain University for being Executives of the Year, for being Women of the Year. One of our board of directors actually this year was recognized as one of USA Today's Women of the Year. So when we share those things, we're letting women know that, hey, you're valued and you can succeed here. We're a company where when we talk with soldiers who are separating or any service member, we say, hey, literally the sky's the limit. Whatever you want to do, you can accomplish that at Warner, right? So we need to do a better job of showing how that's possible, demonstrating this is where we do that. So, another plug for the employee resource groups. We have a Women's Leadership Alliance, and one of the things that they really focus on is that mentoring, networking, right? Professional growth and development. I've been very fortunate that in corporate America, the bosses I've had have always talked about, hey, where do you see yourself going? Where do you see yourself growing? And so I think if we did a better job, especially with female veterans, not just where do you want to be right now, but where do you see yourself in 5, 10, 15 years? And if you don't know, right, if you haven't seen that before, then let's work on that. Let's address that. Let's figure out a way to get you there.
I would love to add, I think words matter, that just like you said, when a company may say, I have a veteran program, always as a military spouse, I would always go, do you have a military spouse program? Well, yeah, we have a veteran program. Well, just being able to see something says veteran and military spouse, I know I'm included in that. So by having initiatives with female veteran labels on them, whether they're programs, support groups, or hiring initiatives with people that look like that demographic, you don't have to question it. And again, it goes back to that confidence of, I don't want to go where I'm not supposed to be. Do I feel like I belong there? But by saying, we do hire female veterans, this is who we are, here's our success stories, here's how we promote and support them. But words truly matter. And coming from someone who felt like I didn't have those programs 10, 15 years ago as a military spouse, and I was like sneaking into veteran groups, and I was like, am I allowed to be here? I'm like, if not, I'm here. So, but now we've come a long way to have military spouse specific groups to say veterans and military spouses. And I love it. And it's inclusive and it's amazing. But the female veteran community feels the same way. Do I belong? Is that my space? I kind of feel like I'm the only woman in a room of 100 men. But when you have your people, you connect and you thrive. So words matter. And when you're building these programs, make sure you're leveraging those words in the right way.
That's good.
So, and I think those are both excellent points. I want to be careful how I describe this. I'm going to ask for employers to consider some more flexibility when it comes to including women veterans. So my da, we're Irish. My dad, his da. He graduated from West Point, 1968, infantry officer, Vietnam veteran, 2 company commands, 1 in Vietnam, 1 in Panama. Retired from the Army after 24 years of service, went immediately to work for the Marines. And he was the dean of the Marine Corps Staff College. That's how he retired. And he retired 50 years to the day after he commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Army. So 50 years of service to this nation. And that is who I look up to. He's my first and most cherished mentor. And I'll never forget at his retirement ceremony, because everyone's, he's a dean emeritus of the Marine Corps Staff College at Quantico, and it's great. And he's an amazing human. And he, on stage, points to my mama, just like this. I got the hand gesture from him. Points to my mama and says, Susan, you know I couldn't have done any of this without you. And so my mama gets to come up to the stage too. And nobody else in the room had thought to do that, because my mama is the reason Da could do what he did. She did all the cooking. She took care of the kids. She moved us. Da would go do a thing and we'd, relocate. And Mom was the glue that held our family together. She was our household logistician. She was household 6 and household 7. She ran a tight ship. I know we were in the Army. She ran a tight ship and is still the most loving human being. I mean, she is the amazing human who made the amazing human who is my Da possible. And so when I look at my military career and I look at perhaps the support I did not have from my ex-husband and the support I do have now as a career professional from my husband, flexibility as a woman professional is absolutely critical. Again, this is anecdotal. This is from my own personal observations. But I would work in an office full of men as the only woman there. And most of them, if not all of them, had spouses at home who were doing what I did in my household while they were doing what I did at work. So I was doing what my male peers were doing at work, and then I'd go home and do what their spouses were doing at home. And so there's a flexibility need if you're going to keep the talent of the resourceful, skilled, high energy, smart, teamwork-oriented leader who is the woman veteran who you need in your organization, because she can make it happen and she's got work ethic for days. But we have to make work-life possible. There's no such thing as work-life balance, so I'm not even going to say that. We have to make work-life possible for her. And so that is my charge to the leaders in this room: make work-life possible for the talented, skilled, capable leader who is a woman veteran you need in your organization to crush it for you.
And I did get a message from, I got a message after John's speech to apologize because he meant to talk about how great military spouses were as the backbone. And I said, it's okay, we all know who wears the pants in the family. And he goes, yeah, well, me, only because my wife buys them and gives them to me and tells me what to wear. So I gave you that one, John.
Awesome. And then, are there any questions from the audience before we conclude? Awesome. Thank you all. And thank you so much to my wonderful panelists.